The housing shortage on orbital station Kepler-7 had reached critical levels. When Marcus Webb received his room assignment, he learned he'd be sharing quarters with a Threnodian exchange student. The administration assured him the cultural exchange would be enlightening. They neglected to mention how challenging it would be. His roommate, who went by the simple human name of Vera, arrived 3 days after he'd settled in. She stood nearly 7 feet tall, covered in what appeared to be smooth, pearl-white armor plating. Her face was humanoid enough: 2 eyes, a nose, a mouth, but the proportions seemed slightly off in ways Marcus couldn't quite articulate. Her eyes were larger, more luminous. Her movements carried an uncanny grace. "I appreciate your willingness to cohabitate," Vera said in perfect English, though her voice had a melodic quality that suggested the language wasn't native to her. "I understand this arrangement may prove uncomfortable." Marcus shook his head. "We're all just trying to get through our studies. I'm fine with it." The first few weeks passed without incident. They established routines, respected boundaries, and maintained polite distance. Vera studied xenobiology with intense focus, often staying up late reviewing holographic displays of alien ecosystems. Marcus pursued engineering, frequently returning to their quarters exhausted from laboratory work. The bathroom schedule they'd agreed upon worked perfectly. Vera took her hygiene period at 0600 hours. Marcus used the facilities at 0700. They never overlapped. The system was efficient and respectful. Until the morning Marcus's alarm failed. He woke at 0630, cursing his malfunctioning neural implant. Groggy and disoriented, he stumbled toward the bathroom, desperate for the sonic shower that would clear his head before his crucial examination. His mind was clouded with half-remembered equations and stress about the test. He was operating on autopilot. The bathroom door slid open. Steam, actual water vapor, not the usual sonic resonance, billowed out. Through the mist, Marcus saw Vera, and his understanding of alien biology shattered completely. The armor wasn't armor at all. The white plating had peeled away in sections, revealing something underneath that made his breath catch. Beneath what he'd assumed was her skin lay a network of bioluminescent patterns, glowing soft blue and green like living circuitry. But that wasn't what shocked him most. Her true form was transparent. Not invisible, but genuinely translucent, like stained glass infused with light. He could see the internal structures, what might have been organs or energy centers, pulsing with gentle radiance. Her skeletal structure glowed brightest, a lattice of crystalline material that refracted light into subtle rainbows. She wasn't solid. She was living light given barely tangible form. Vera turned, and her large eyes met his. For a moment, neither moved. Then Marcus found his voice. "I'm so sorry. I didn't my alarm. I wasn't thinking." He expected anger, embarrassment, perhaps the alien equivalent of outrage. Instead, Vera's expression shifted into something that might have been resignation. "Please close the door," she said quietly. "I will explain shortly." Marcus retreated, his heart hammering. He sat on his bunk, mind racing. Everything he'd assumed about his roommate had been wrong. The cultural briefings hadn't mentioned this. Nothing in the station database had prepared him for what he'd just witnessed. 20 minutes later, Vera emerged. The white plating had returned, seamless and opaque. She looked exactly as she had for the past 3 weeks. She sat on her own bunk across from him, her posture unusually rigid. "You are wondering why I hide my natural form," she said. It wasn't a question. Marcus nodded. "I didn't mean to intrude." "But yes." "I'm confused." Vera was silent for a long moment, her luminous eyes studying him. When she spoke, her voice carried a weight he hadn't heard before. "Threnodians are energy-based life forms. Our physical forms are maintained through conscious effort. The white covering you see is a biomechanical construct we wear to interact with solid matter. Underneath, we are primarily electromagnetic patterns held in a crystalline matrix. That's incredible, Marcus breathed. Why isn't this common knowledge? The station database said Thrinidians were silicon-based humanoids. Because, Vera said carefully, most species find our true nature disturbing. When humanity first encountered my people, the initial reaction was fear. You called us ghosts, phantoms. Some of your religious groups claimed we were demons. The diplomatic solution was concealment. We agreed to wear these shells when among other species. Marcus felt a surge of shame. That's not right. You shouldn't have to hide what you are. Perhaps, Vera said. But it is simpler this way. Most humans prefer not to live with someone they can partially see through. The psychological effect is unsettling. You can witness our internal processes. It reminds your species too acutely of your own mortality. Is that why you use water? Marcus asked. The real shower instead of sonic? Vera nodded. The crystalline matrix requires periodic hydration. Sonic showers are inadequate for my physiology. I requested special accommodation, but the station administrators assigned me to standard quarters. I have been using minimal water to avoid drawing attention. Marcus stood abruptly. That's unacceptable. You need proper facilities. I manage adequately. No. Marcus paced the small room. You're compromising your health because the administration is too cheap or too bigoted to provide appropriate housing. That's wrong. Vera tilted her head. A gesture he'd learned indicated curiosity. You are not disturbed by my appearance? Disturbed? Marcus stopped pacing. Vera, you're beautiful. You're like a living constellation. I've never seen anything remotely like it. For the first time since he'd known her, Vera seemed genuinely surprised. The white plating across her face shifted slightly, perhaps the equivalent of a blush, though Marcus couldn't be sure. That is not the typical human response, she said slowly. Maybe that's humanity's failure, not yours. Over the following days, something shifted between them. Vera began leaving small gaps in her biomechanical shell, a bao, translucent patch on her forearm where the bioluminescent patterns were visible, a slight transparency in her hands. Testing his reaction, Marcus realized, building trust incrementally. He never stared, never made her feel like a specimen. But when she showed him the patterns in her arm, he asked about them. She explained they were energy conduits, pathways for the electromagnetic fields that constituted her consciousness. Marcus filed a formal complaint with station housing. He documented the inadequate facilities and argued that requiring Thrinidians to conceal their biology violated several interspecies treaties. He expected pushback, bureaucratic resistance, perhaps even retaliation. Instead, the complaint gained traction. Other students, alien and human alike, added their voices. Apparently, Vera wasn't the only one compromising her needs to fit station standards. The movement grew. 3 weeks after the bathroom incident, station administration announced new housing policies. Species-appropriate facilities would be installed. Cultural sensitivity training would become mandatory. The changes weren't perfect, but they were progress. The night the announcement came through, Vera returned to their quarters, carrying 2 cups of synthesized tea. She handed one to Marcus and sat on her bunk. You did not need to advocate for me, she said. I had accepted the situation. Acceptance isn't the same as justice, Marcus replied. Besides, we're roommates. We look out for each other. Vera was quiet for a moment. Then, deliberately, she allowed her biomechanical shell to fade. Not completely, she maintained enough solidity to sit and hold the cup, but the white plating became translucent. The bioluminescent patterns glowed softly in the dimmed quarters. Her crystalline skeleton refracted the room's ambient light into gentle colors. "This is who I am," she said. "Thank you for not requiring me to hide completely." Marcus smiled. "Thank you for trusting me enough to show me." They sat in comfortable silence, drinking tea. Through the viewport, Kepler-7 rotated slowly, the planet below painted in blues and greens. Somewhere out in the galaxy, humans and Thranidians and countless other species were learning to coexist. It wasn't always easy. Fear and misunderstanding created barriers that seemed insurmountable. But sometimes, Marcus thought, all it took was one accidentally open door, one moment of unexpected vulnerability, one person willing to look past the surface and see the light underneath. His roommate was made of living starlight, and that, he decided, was exactly as things should be.